Welcome to the Giggles, the G20 podcast that takes you in a hilariously twisted ride through the world of international diplomacy. Today I am going to dive the unforgettable G20 Summit that has been occurred in India, the heart of the Delhi, which only one person that can handle all kinds of the international meeting, the charismatic, the PM respected Sir Narendra Modi. So get ready to chuckle the way through the whirlwind, the global politics, as I'm here going to attempt the serious side of utterly the side splitting. So buckle up. So it's going to be moody frequently. Hey there, folks. Now we all know that India is holding the G20 presidency this year, which means they are in the charge of hosting all sittings and meetings among top 20 countries in the world. We got as a tremendous opportunity. It has been most prestigious international meeting that has been conducted. But have you ever wondered? So what's under yet the G20? So why does even this G20 has been exist? So what's the story behind it? And why do we keep moving the party of different countries for every year? And especially when you talk about the G20 in 2023, we got a special opportunity. Hello friends, the G20, you must have heard this word in last few days or last few weeks. The event was a big victory for India. But you know one interesting thing about the world media has been predicted that G20 summit would fail and India will not able to handle it. But in all the kind of the critics, in all the kind of disencouragement, India has been proved, India has been successfully conducted. So let me explain. India is the presidency of the G20 that has been happening in 2023. More than 200 events were planned in all the cities across the states of the India, union territories of the India. So the most important and interesting fact, India has been successfully conducted. With all the PM and presidents across the countries, it has been great, the prestigious and most. So how? Let me explain. India is the presidency of the G20 that was conducted by year 2023. The event, the 20 event, the 200 event were planned in cities, all the states and the union territories in India, which was a big leader from all over the world. From at least I predicted 25,000 people from 125 nationalities has been participated. This international event, which was organized by our prestigious country, it has been great opportunity for us. The G20 meeting, the G Summit meeting, the group in which the 20 countries has been involved. It has been huge victory for India. So what does it mean? So what the difference that this meeting that makes any kind of the sense? Did we just talk about an event that has been achieved by our presidency? There are 5 big victory about it. We all know I'm here going to explore the important things of the G20 summit and history of the G20. We present the important issue in a simple language. If your opinion, if you like my work, please don't forget to subscribe on the social media. If you want to follow me for coming more podcasts. So the G20 country represent the 60% of the world population, which means that nearly the 75% of the trade and 85% of the GDP. Let me explain that everyone knows the presidency of the G20 that was held by this year. This meeting has been conducted in the summits and forums among top 20 countries which will be participated. The world will be hosted by in India. The main summit will be held by the 10th and the 9th September, which was just happened in the few weeks back. New Delhi in the Prakati Maidan, which will be attended by the head of the states of the all over the world, which means that the presidencies and the prime ministers about 20 countries has been participated. But one question that might bothering you. So what is G20? So why I'm here explaining G20? So why does this group even exist? So what the purpose behind it? So why there is this country meeting usually takes place across different countries in every year, but 2023 we got opportunity for conducting this G20. India has been formally taken over the presidency of the G20. Hosting the G20 session is a great opportunity to the India. India is readying itself as a host the mega event, the Friends Zone. To understanding the G20, we need to understand the G7 because G7 came before coming the G20. It has begun in the early 1970s. The economic condition, the world was completely worsening. There were many reasons behind it, but the main reason, the economic instability, is just came first. The oil crisis, which was just happened in 1973. The crisis has been started. That Arab countries usually imposed oil embargo. They stopped exporting the oil. Mostly the Western countries has been faced a lot of problems. They completely rely on oil coming from the Middle East. Because of this reason, they witnessed a heavy economic recession in which 11 Arab countries, the oil shipments to the United States has been completely halted. We are hitting the acute shortages energy since the World War II just was happened. The economic stability to all the countries has been completely devastated. So the government has been decided they want to improve the economic situation. They want to improve the economic stability. They decided they want to conduct a meeting that the all countries has been participated together. So before conducting a meeting, there has been concluded that White House meeting between the USA and the finance minister of this country. It was just early in 1973. The finance minister from USA, France, UK and West Germany and all the top countries has been concluded this meeting for developing their economic. I think in the year of 1975, the G6 meeting has been took place. This was the first official meeting after 1976. The Canada has been joined. So G6 group become G7 slowly and eventually there has been collaborated, there has been understand the international relationship among these countries is vast most important. The economic were among the top economic in the world. There are many other commonalities among these countries with the liberal democracies and promoted values and human rights and individual freedoms and political. They also suggested that the politicals we need like a Cold War of the Western countries and the Western Bloc. So there has been a similar ideology and economically, of course, they were suggesting that oil crisis and recession. In 1975, the G6 meeting, the first took place. This was the first official meeting. After this, 1976, the Canada, the country has been joined a group, and G6 group has been become G7. The 7 countries were among the most developed countries in that time. The economic were among the top economic in the world, but there are many other commonalities among these countries. The most common, the democratic liberalities and promoted values like human rights and individual freedoms and politics. During the Cold War, they have been decided to sit together to resolve the problems for upcoming like Western Bloc, Western countries. So you can say there were ideology similar and economically, of course, there were struggling the problems like oil crisis and recession that was going to happen in the future. They predicted that we want to prevent all these kind of the crisis that was going to happen. So this is a main aim to the to make economic strategies. In 1998, Russia also included in this group. So G7 has been become G8. But in the 2014, the Russia has been invaded Crimea. Russia has been invited the war to Ukraine. So Russia was expelled from this group. So the G7 again become G6. This was the reason because the G7 summit or G6 summit they promoted values like freedom is completely no other conflict. If you come to the G20, it also started economic condition, economic oil crisis, the Asian financial crisis that was happened in 1997. This was a huge financial crisis like a South Korean, Indonesia and Thailand. The global market has been worried that Asian countries might have been similar flaws. The reason behind it, I think so. The crisis, this was a big effect to the Hong Kong, Malaysia and Philippines and some extent to the China and Japan and Singapore and Taiwan. The value of the currency has been started for rapidly. So these countries, the unemployment has been started raised. So at a spike manner, in 1998, Russia has been faced with a financial crisis. So again, Russia has been got another opportunity. So Russia was included this time. The G7 at this time, but other member also G7 has been realized that the world becoming more interconnected with the globalization, with further developing. They have been interconnected. There will be promoted value like international relationship is a prominent essential if they want to develop, if they want to resolve the problems. So one country need other help. If one country has been affected, it effect has been felt by other countries. So if you want to bring the economic stability of the world, that having the recession, we will have the sit together an emerging economic situation. The finance minister of the G7 and G20 group has been established by this way. I would like to come to the topic, the G20, which was conducted by India, the G20. In this group, these developed countries include developing countries as well as, but a question what I am going to think about my mind, the G20, the countries should have kept hand, we should not be kept hand. The first criteria of G7 member is definitely remains same and has been no flaws. during the meeting of the finance minister of the G7 and G20 group has been established. This was the reason the G20 has been established. In this group, the developing countries and including the developing countries were also included. But a question, in this G20, which country should be kept in hand and which country should not be kept in hand? The first criteria of G7 member would definitely remain safe, because this was the first meeting that has been organized. They saw which were the biggest economy in the world. That means that which one have readily handling the biggest economy on the basis. When you talk about the biggest economic like the China, India and Brazil, South Africa and Russia were also included. They also looked for the biggest regional power, because it was necessary to have the represent every region in the world. For this reason, the Indonesia and the South Korea and the Asia and the Brazil and Argentina and South America and the Mexico and the North America and the Australia and the Oceania and Saudi Arabia and the Turkey from the Middle East and to the Europe. Apart from the G7 countries, they included this time as a European countries has been the so standard. The European Union was considered as a whole to represent the rest of the Europe. So today there are 19 countries in which the G20, the 20 countries has been participated. European Union, broadly speaking, you can saw this name, the 20 countries, which was the 20 flag has been hosted, the G20 which was conducted in Pragati Maidan in Delhi. Not only politically, they also included economically, but also military and population wise. But an interesting thing that has been since the real purpose behind this kind of the meeting to deal with the financial crisis. The G20 group meeting were attended by only the financial minister, like a central bank governor, and these countries they also continued for many years until the global financial crisis of 2008. The signs were same. It was official. There was recession. They predicted that recession has been happening in the future. To avoid this kind of the recession, to avoid this kind of economic losses in the future, there has been confidently the major sector of America has been realized they should have more serious about this meeting. Not only the finance minister but also presidencies and the prime minister also included. They need some kind of the cooperation to do all these kind of the countries. The cooperation of these countries with the financial crisis to prevent in the future has been prevented. This was the reason the official summit of the G20 leader was held in 2008. This was the first summit that was held by America, with the country collectively decided to reduce the trade barrier between the countries across the countries, to increase the spending, the total expenditure. They usually allocated, I think so, $4 trillion to economic to review the total G20 countries collectively contribute. I calculated it was just 85% of the global economic output, more than 75% of the global trade in these countries, and more than two-thirds of the world population usually lives in the country. Since 2008, the G20 summit has been held every year, and this was happening in different countries every year to set agenda about the G20 meeting, to ensure it was working very smoothly, to ensure it has been collaborated. When you talk about the Trioca system, it was used to, under the Trioca system, these countries has been included in G20 presidency. The G20 presidents in the previous year, G20 president upcoming year, and the G20 presidents that was happening last year. The G20 summit for next year was held in Indonesia. This year it was held in India. 2014 it was held in Brazil. So Indonesia, India and Brazil were the current Trioca system, in which this three countries has been quarterly rotational basis. So they has been conducting the meeting. The G20 every year a member become the presidents to meet this kind of agenda. In this year, huge achievement has been achieved by our government, because G20 summit that was held in India, it was conducted by the India in Pragati Maidan with the presence of the presidents and prime minister. If not this year, then someone in other year going to conduct this kind of the meeting. Someone other countries are going to organize it. I think in 2008, this was the 18th G20 summit meeting that was happening in America. Not only the summit has been hosted twice in 2008, I think so, and 2009 it may be the financial crisis of the 2008 has been started. They realized this kind of the meeting is essential to uplift the countries, to uplift the relationship between the countries. So they predicted this, it was the major event. Turkey, China, Germany, and Argentina, and Japan, and Saudi Arabia, and Italy, Indonesia, and in 2023. The India only G20 members has remained with the number of the G20 summit has been held. Yet the Brazil and South Africa next year, I think so, they will get opportunity. The next G20 is kind of the meeting that going to organize in the Brazil in 2024, and in 2025 South Africa. After this other will be repeating again, and USA again the first repeated pattern will become in 2026. If this pattern is continues like this, and next G20 summit will be held in India around 2042. Again, this occurrence, there will be a meeting that has been continuously takes place, and each year every countries has been get opportunity. So next year I will predict that India will be get opportunity in 2042. So now apart from some guest countries also invited a G20 summit, the Spain, apart from the invitation, the G20 summit, apart from they also the host countries also invite other countries. So this year India has been invited, some other countries that has been included, they gave opportunities, and the G20 summit like the Spain and UAE has been included, and Bangladesh and Egypt and Oman. Apart from this, the permanent guest list also included some other major institutions, the African Union, United Nations, and the WHO and WTO, and International Monetary Fund, and the chair countries, and Asian. It is interesting that although the main purpose of the G20 is remain to promote international the financial stability among the countries and across the countries, it has been started and promoting the sustainable development, but a problem addressing the other issues. I think so the G20 countries have their own foreign policies. Based on this, the prediction, based on this international monetary fund that has been allotted, this was the reason the Chinese president Xi Jinping will not attend the main meeting in the New Delhi, because it is very difficult. These 20 countries agreement unanimously any issues if they have any kind of. So the tourism of the G20's meeting usually held in Srinagar. Few months it was boycotted the China and the Saudi Arabia. Apart from Russia, also President Vladimir Putin will also not attending this kind of the meeting, because he was if he attend, he will get an arrest warrant, because he has been the present scenario. You will know that the Ukraine facing the financial war crisis because of the reason Russia has been invaded. Depending on the individual leader, the Donald Trump did not sign the Paris Climate Agreement in 2016. The United States will not included in the Paris Climate Accord. Only after Joe Biden became the president, he signed, and he shows some issues about the climate crisis of Greta. We have the familiar Gale that has been, she has been raised so much questions, the Greta Thunberg. In this year, I think so the G20 India has been set a team, the Vasudev Kutumbakam. It has been placed in importance. The team like green development and sustainable development and goal along with digital development and infrastructure, women lead development also focused the utmost thinking. So where is the time to discuss all this kind of the event? So the Vasudhaiva Kutumbika, in which there is only one family, one country, one solution. So G20 meeting has been scheduled for 2 to 3 days. So friendly, if you like my content, the main content of the G20 summit in last 2 days, the state leader, but also from any apart from the leader, there has been included, there has been specifically told the specific point, the sustainable development, the great infrastructure, the climate change activities, they have been talked at them in prime focus. They also Narendra Modi has been named the Vasudhaiva Kutumbika. The Vasudhaiva Kutumbika is an old Devanagari script word, Devanagari Sanskrit word. The employment minister also held in 2014. So I'm trying to conclude this meeting. I'm trying to conclude this podcast. Thank you for listening. If you like my content, if you want to more content like this, so if you want to explore the things I'm going to explore, the new to the world, if you like my content, then don't forget to subscribe my channel. Don't forget to follow the Instagram page. If you like, try to share the more for upcoming videos. Thank you. I'm here going to conclude my podcast at last. The only one biggest problem with India and China I'm talking about. The India is not actually China. Let me explain what I mean by was. India